Hey guys, welcome to Nomad on Fire. And in this video, I'm going to go over some questions that I've been asked in the comments and just kind of give an answer to them and let you guys know where I stand and why I am in BTCI. So without further ado, here's the first question. Why do you need a TradFi product to create income? Just sell a little Bitcoin ever so often. Well, that's true. You can do that. I've been buying Bitcoin for 7 to 8 years now. When COVID hit, I bought a lot at $3,800 and $3,900, and I've bought Bitcoin all the way up. I do own quite a bit of a Bitcoin, but my stance is I will never sell my Bitcoin. Not unless it's a dire emergency. But even in a dire emergency, I have other ways of taking care of that besides selling my Bitcoin. I will take a loan out against my Bitcoin once more credible lenders come out and offer competitive rates. I did take a small loan out with Ledden a little while back, and it worked out well. I just didn't like I think it was like 13.4% interest rate on it, because I chose to not hypothesize. I can't say that word. Not to let them lend it out. So that is the main reason why I need a TradFi product. And I know that's being asked from a Bitcoin maxi, which I have considered myself a Bitcoin maxi, and I still do. I don't own Ethereum or Solana or any of that other stuff. I'm the only crypto that I'm really into is Bitcoin, and I need the BTCI product because yes, I want growth, but I like that 28% distribution rate for the monthly income. I'm at a stage in my life right now where I like to travel, and that's what I'm about to do. I'm going overseas for 6 months. Tomorrow. I was supposed to go today, but the airline called and wanted to know if I would switch to a later flight, and offered me $1,000 voucher. So I took it. Yes, that'll come in very handy, especially when I'm deciding to come back. That'll pay for my airline ticket back, plus I'll have a little bit left over more than likely. So the main reason I'm into BTCI is because I want the growth that BTCI offers, as well as the income that BTCI offers. Okay, so second question is, why can't you just buy BTC instead of BTCI? It's not like BTCI is free. That's true. I have bought Bitcoin for 7 to 8 years, like I said earlier. BTCI is just a avenue for me to generate income, so I can travel, so I can do whatever I need with the cash, because I don't want to sell my Bitcoin for cash. I see that as a losing proposition, selling a supreme asset for a dying currency. Plus, I want to leave my Bitcoin for my kids. I have 3 children, and if and when I pass away, or if and when I do pass away, I'm going to leave all of that to them. And I have 1 grandchild, and that is going to be the way I think Bitcoin is going to go up in value. That's going to be their generational wealth. It's going to change everything for them. And I've got 1 son that's into Bitcoin. He doesn't want to hold it offline, hold the real thing, but he buys a lot of IBIT, which is fine. IBIT's not for me, but I understand his reasoning. He's, a little bit worried about holding it offline and losing the keys or something happening to it. So it's a more secure way for him, and I've thought about doing that myself. But yeah, BTCI isn't free, but the way I see it also is Bitcoin's $108,000 today. I believe it's down. Putting $60 into Bitcoin now isn't going to get you much. Putting $6 into BTCI is going to get you basically one share, and that's going to be roughly $1.40 of income every month, which is not a lot, but you keep putting another $60 in here, another $60 in there, those $1.40s are going to add up, and that's monthly income. So next question is, doesn't BTCI underperform Bitcoin? Yes, it does. Biggest majority of the time, BTCI does underperform. That's because they're selling covered calls and they're selling the upside. So, you know, if the stock is trading at $60, NEOS typically sells 20%, 15 to 20% out of the money calls on it. And if Bitcoin takes a big run, which it's known to do, they'll lose those shares, and you're kind of capped on the upside. But NEOS does it in a way that I like. They only sell calls against 50% of the assets that they hold, so the other 50% can run. And if you've watched any of my BTCI versus IBIT versus YBTC, you'll notice that it's fairly common that BTCI will actually outperform IBIT. It doesn't happen all the time. You know, I would say 20% of the time you'll see BTCI outperform IBIT, if that, maybe 10%. But anyway, so yes, it does underperform real Bitcoin, and that's okay, because you're selling that upside for a 28% distribution. So I'm just falling for an illusion Wall Street wants to sell you for a 0.98% fee. Okay, yeah, their fee, they have a 0.98% fee, and yes, that's a little bit high, but I'll pay a 0.98% fee any day of the week for a 22% growth return plus a 28% distribution amount. Who wouldn't? I mean, yeah, they're making some money on the fees, but, you know, they're doing a lot of work. I've owned a lot of IBIT in my retirement account, my Roth account, before BTCI came out, and I was selling covered calls against it. And I was constantly nervous because, you know, I wouldn't sell that far out of the money. And Bitcoin takes a rip. Boom, I lost all the shares, and then I have to try to get back in, at a higher price, or sit there and wait for it to fall back down. And yeah, I made some money on selling covered calls myself. I'm no professional like the guys at NEOS is, and it always just made me nervous because I didn't want to lose my shares, where when you own BTCI, you don't have to worry about losing your shares. Yeah, they may go down in value a little bit, but so is IBIT going to go down in value. But you can pretty much rely on a decent distribution. Their average is $1.40. That's a really good distribution. So yeah, you're paying a high fee, but I think it's well worth it. What's the fear in buying more Bitcoin and selling it? You could just buy IBIT and sell it. Okay, first of all, I don't sell Bitcoin. IBIT, ever since BTCI came out, I see IBIT as useless, in my opinion. Okay, you may like it. It does have its merits for a retirement account, and it depends on your age. Like my son is 31 years old. He likes IBIT over BTCI because he thinks he's going to get more growth out of it, and he may be right. But he's not trying to retire and live off of dividends right now. His goal is he wants to retire in 10 years. So when he's 40, 41 years old, he wants to retire. So in the next 10 years, he can get as much growth as possible out of his IBIT. And then if he wants to retire, he could sell it, convert it all over to BTCI, and have a huge income, and he'd probably come out better that way. But if you're in my position, I'm 56 years old, I'll be 57 next month. I want to travel, I want to live my life now. And BTCI is the way I do it, and I just don't want to sell my Bitcoin. Plus, if I sold my Bitcoin, like I told you guys earlier, I bought a lot of it at $3,900. Selling a little bit of it, I'm going to get hit massively with taxes. We're getting the distributions, the way they've got it structured, I'm not going to get taxed near as much. So there's another huge reason why I don't want to just sell my Bitcoin. And over the long term, the results will be worse than with real Bitcoin. I don't know about that, okay? So over the long term, and I'm going to say 5 years to 10 years is what I'm going to call long term. If you have a lot of sideways action, like we've had this whole entire year, and I think we're going to get more of it because it's almost too expensive for people, the average retail customer, to get in and buy any amount of it, and so they're looking for other avenues and stuff like that. I don't, unless just things just go, strategic Bitcoin reserve finally takes off and then all these other countries do it, I don't see us doing huge pops like we used to have. I think it's going to be a slow, steady incline. So in slow, steady inclines, or even sideways, even in a down market, a slow down market, BTCI, I think, will outperform because of the distribution. Eventually it will outperform because of the distribution. You will obtain more and more shares. Now, if you drip it, if you take the money out and live off of it, it's not going to outperform. There's just no way. But if you drip it and you're accumulating more shares, eventually 5 years down the road, it's going to look like a total different animal for you. I think in 5 years down the road, and especially 10 years down the road, the amount of BTCI that you would accumulate over that period of time just from the drip, you'll end up with a lot larger overall value than would with just holding the same amount of IBIT. And not to mention another huge factor. So I told you a little bit ago that I'm 56, about to be 57. At 59 and a half, I can start withdrawing from my Roth IRA, and all the BTCI that I have in my Roth IRA, paying out the distribution, I can withdraw tax-free. Okay, you don't understand how big that is. Tax-free monthly income, no capital gains, no regular income tax, no nothing on it, tax-free. So that's why I max out my Roth IRA every year, and then I start dumping the rest of it into my FIRE account. Where if you just had IBIT in your Roth IRA, you'd have to start selling it and, take the old 4% rule. Well, you start selling at 59 and a half, it's not going to take long to wipe you out. I mean, depending on how much you have. But where if you have BTCI, don't ever touch it and just withdraw the distributions it pays tax-free. That is a huge win. But anyway, that's pretty much the answers to a lot of the questions. That's why I like BTCI so much. If you have any other questions for me about BTCI, please drop me a comment. Now, do realize that it might take me a little bit to reply to them, because I am leaving tomorrow to go to Vietnam, and I'm not gonna get there till Saturday, 10 or 11 o'clock Saturday, and that'll be like 11 o'clock Friday night here. So I'll be out of pocket for a little bit, but I am going to start doing a lot of videos on travel and all the activities and excursions and stuff like that I'm going to be doing in Vietnam. Plus, I'm doing the train ride. I'm doing a train ride that's going to take probably 60 to 90 days. And it's going to go from Hanoi all the way to Saigon, and I'm stopping at every location on the way down and staying a few days to a week, or however long I like, however much I like the town, I'm going to stay there. And this train is supposed to go right along the coast, so you got the beach on one side, and from what I've seen, you've got cliffs on the other side and mountains and stuff like that. So it's supposed to be just be absolutely beautiful. So please subscribe and come along, and we'll have some fun. Oh, one other thing to consider about BTCI that is a major positive for it. You can use the income from the distributions from BTCI to qualify for loans. So if you wanted to buy a house, a car, or whatever, you can use that income as to qualify for the loan. Where if you just hold IBIT and sell it, you can't use that because you're trading, and the banks won't take any type of trading income, where they will take distributions and dividends. So that's another big factor. Okay, that's it for now. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.